This is your evening news update for Wednesday, April 21. So glad you could join us. Unmerited. That's the response of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade to the latest advisory issued by the United States warning Americans not to travel to the island. On Tuesday, the U.S. State Department listed Barbados on level 4, COVID-19 very high, among 130 countries. But local officials argue that the advisory does not give Americans the opportunity to make an informed decision on travel to the island based on relevant data. Government contends the data shows that COVID cases have consistently dropped. There's full adequate care for all COVID patients. The island's vaccination level is high, with over 70,000 members of the adult population receiving their first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine, and there's no evidence that the virus has been exported from here to the United States. Barbados warned the advisory will have a chilling effect on the tourism sector and does not support government's efforts to secure lasting economic recovery. Small Business and Entrepreneurship Minister Kerry Simmons wants to see more opportunities created for entrepreneurs and skilled nationals. He insists they must be able to operate in a more formal way. Simmons made the comments during today's Barbados Coalition of Service Industries Fishbowl Conversation series that was held under the theme Services for Economic Resilience and Post-Pandemic Recovery.
It is time, I think, to take the knee off of the neck of opportunity. The IADB did a study in 2017 which reflected on the Barbados economy between 2000 and 2010, that decade. That first decade of the century saw informal activity in the Barbados economy contributing to about 30 to 40% of the country's GDP. Now, it tells me that with 30 to 40% of your activity being informal, we have a challenge. And that challenge is to bring that informal player into the formal sector. There is not a shortfall in my judgment of entrepreneurial interest. There's not a shortfall in my judgment of commercial interest and marketable talent. But where we do have the shortfall is in our ability to make the informal entities operate in a more formal way within the system, within the socio-economic system of Barbados.
Close to 1,000 bags of ash were collected today as the Sanitation Service Authority, with assistance from the National Conservation Commission and the Ministry of Transport and Works, made the rounds in the parishes of St. Peter and St. Lucie. Minister of Environment and National Beautification Adrian Ford today praised the cooperation of Barbadians while at Six Men's St. Peter. He told reporters the ash, though bothersome to most, was much more than waste, pointing out that it has created employment and other opportunities.
Person pottery industry. You've heard stories about it from the Roman Empire as being an additive in the whole concrete mix. There are those in the agriculture belt who are anticipating it as I speak, because some of this ash is going to the NCC, and another set probably go to different areas, different plantations and other agriculture industries that are requesting it. And obviously, other persons are using in their households to bring a neutrality to the soil. So it has a multifaceted set of usage that we could appreciate as Barbadians.
Residents in Six Men's teamed up to rid the community of the ash. Jamar Griffith, an asthmatic, told reporters the hard work was worth the effort.
I felt personally indebted that for me, it's good to help out the community, not only for self, but to help out the community, because not only me being asthmatic, but other people around me being asthmatic. So personally, I felt it was, I felt indebted to help clean up the ash. And in addition, I have to also thank the sanitation service for constantly being on the radio, constantly giving the protocol about how to dispose of the ash and how to properly set it up.
Lisa Ann Allenby urged other communities across the island to team up to clean up their neighborhoods.
In St. Smith, I must say we have to applaud the neighbors who came together to really work together over a 3-day period of time to clean the streets. It was a challenge, especially when it was really dry. And as an asthmatic as well, had a few little asthma attacks in between, wheezing and stuff, the dust. But we are thankful for the rain and the neighborhood, team spirit. And we have to recognize it cannot be done with one person. It requires the whole neighborhood to come together. And I want to encourage other neighborhoods to do the same thing as well.
Students and staff of St. Lawrence Primary School in Christchurch will be returning to a clean environment when the school reopens. Today, past students and residents from the area spent the day cleaning the school plant, which has also been affected by the ash fall. Community leader Adrian Donovan spearheaded the project.
So whenever the school is given permission to reopen, we hope that St. Lawrence will be ready, and we're doing everything in our power to make sure that it is ready. We have to thank Simmons Electrical. They readily gave assistance to all the electrical issues regarding safety bulbs and etc. That has been rectified. We also got assistance from our MP, Mr. Ralph Thorne, who rented a power wash machine for us for the entire day. And we also got assistance with some bags from Mr. Jeff Lashley, a director at the BTAI. We have to thank Miss Donna Walker, who is the government traffic guard. She is the supervisor today on the job and doing a very good job, I must say. And as you will see, there's about 18 young people aging between 18 and about 25 who are here readily giving assistance to give back.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news, authorities in Trinidad and Tobago today rolled out a range of new restrictions to rein in rising COVID-19 cases. We get more in this report from TTT News.
Chief among the new restrictions announced by Minister of Health Terence Dial Singh at Wednesday's COVID-19 update is a reduction in capacity from 50% to 25% for religious gatherings.
We make a special appeal that in places of worship where you attend your prayers, to keep on your masks at all times. Do not take off your masks for any reason. And once your services or prayers are finished, please don't congregate. Please go home.
The health minister also announced that weddings and funerals will be limited to 10 persons and there will be no public gatherings for entertainment events and concerts. The new restrictions also extend to the public service, which will revert to 50% capacity on a rotational basis.
This will have the effect of taking a few tens of thousands of persons off the transportation grid and collecting in offices, because you would have heard in the past that office spread, workplace spread is one of the areas. At this time, we are not touching the workplace in the private sector.
Minister Dial Singh still appealed to those in the private sector to maintain vigilance in adhering to the COVID-19 protocols.
Further afield, the U.S. Justice Department today launched a sweeping civil investigation into policing practices in Minneapolis following a jury's verdict that former city police officer Derek Chauvin murdered George Floyd. The probe is the first major action of Attorney General Merrick Garland after President Joe Biden vowed to address systemic racism in the United States.
Investigation I am announcing today will assess whether the Minneapolis Police Department engages in a pattern or practice of using excessive force, including during protests. The investigation will also assess whether the MPD engages in discriminatory conduct and whether its treatment of those with behavioral health disabilities is unlawful. If the Justice Department concludes that there is reasonable cause to believe there is a pattern or practice of unconstitutional or unlawful policing, we will issue a public report of our conclusions.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.